Very well done.
That's right, people. I've been working on my Tim Allen. Have you ever used a multi-bit screwdriver? Did you know that the first of its kind is called a Picquic, and it was made right here in Vancouver, patented? We're going to get the whole story. We're at the Picquic Tool Company all morning long, learning about this amazing screwdriver. Stick around. Good morning. Yes, people, this is very cool. We're at Picquic Tool Company. Paul, you are the president here right now, right?
Yeah.
And your dad was actually the gentleman that patented this technology. Now, before 1988 is when he came up with this idea, right? The idea of a multi-bit screwdriver was around, but it wasn't very effective, right?
Well, the typical design was a hollow handle where you unscrew the cap, dump all the bits out, you know, fiddle and screw around, and then put the cap back on. Then finally, you could use your screwdriver.
And a lot of times they would often spill all over the place. It just wasn't very.
And my dad was a pilot by trade.
Yeah.
And he had no patience with things that broke or lost parts, so he set out to change it. And this is what he came up with. This is an 88 model.
So that's the original model he came up with.
That's one of the very first out of the mold.
And show people at home how it actually works, how the patent technology was so different.
You remove the bit from the shank.
Yeah.
Then you select the next bit you want here.
Yeah.
And then you store the last one.
Push it in there.
The new one.
Yeah.
And voila.
And it's got a little magnet in the end too that kind of holds it in place.
This modern version, this is a 2014 model, so it's magnetized. You want to trade me there?
Beautiful. I like the vintage one.
Yeah. And this one, this started with 6 bits because our motive at the time was to keep the cost very low.
Right.
So each bit is very expensive. So, but in later years, in 2003, we modified it to have 7 bits.
Awesome. Okay, Paul, thanks a lot. We're here all morning long. Very cool. We're at Picquic on Marine, and coming up later, you guys, we're going to learn how they make these shanks on the screwdrivers. It's very cool stuff, and it's patented technology going all the way back to 1988. How do you like that? Yeah, we're here at Picquic Tool Company. Coming up, we're going to be learning about this machine, which was actually used for the World War II effort. It has been refurbished, and now it helps make the screwdrivers that they pump out every day here at Picquic Tool Company. We're learning all about that coming up. I'm with Paul once again. We're at Picquic Tools in Vancouver. Now, Paul, this is incredible. This is one of 6 machines that was actually used in World War II as part of the war effort. It's been refurbished now, and it actually makes the shank on the screwdriver, right?
Yeah,
okay.
This part right here.
So that's the shank, and it's one of the most sturdy pieces of the screwdriver. It's really essential, right? So it's that part there.
It's kind of the core of the product.
The core, okay.
Yeah.
And despite all the technology we have today, this machine, you know, it goes back to the war effort, but it's still the most efficient way to make this, right?
Absolutely. Even the computerized machines, they can't compete with this when you're doing long runs of production parts. We call this the Hummer because it just, the Hummer, okay. Yeah, the Hummer. There's 6 different rods of material, aluminum in this case, and they're all being machined at one time. So every time that part there indexes, you'll see it index in a minute here. Yeah. It's making a finished one of these shanks for one of our screwdrivers. And we have basically a machine for every different handle we make.
And there they all are in there, right? And then you have these metal sort of shavings that get, that's the excess, but those get all recycled, right?
Yeah, yeah. We drain the oil out of them, centrifuge the oil out, and then send them off to a guy that, you know, melts them down and whatnot.
Yeah. There you can get a better look there. Amazing stuff, and these machines are fantastic because they're such kind of legendary pieces of engineering. They were actually used to make munitions, but now you're using them to make these multi-bit screwdrivers.
Yeah, even more interest is that in the old days, back around the turn of the century, these machines existed, and they were horse-drawn. They'd have a central shaft running down a factory with leather belts, and the outside they'd have a horse turning a great big wheel. Yeah. So they date back to the late 1800s.
Times have changed. All right, thanks, Paul. Very cool. We're here all morning at Picquic Tools, Michelle, learning all about the multi-bit screwdriver. How do you like that? That's right, people. I've got my toolman hat on. Well, I don't really have a hat on, but you get the idea. Tim the toolman. Yes, we're at Picquic today, and coming up, we're going to be learning about one of the last processes that goes into making their patented multi-bit screwdrivers. Amazing stuff here. Stick around at Picquic Tool Company. Okay, I'm with Paul here. It's Picquic Tool Company. You guys make this patented screwdriver with essentially that has the bits that are all stuck together, whereas you don't have it all like loose and falling out.
All the bits you need in one handle.
Yeah, made in 1988, right, by your father.
Yeah.
And this is one of the last stations in terms of how the screwdrivers are assembled.
Yeah,
right?
that's our final assembly table.
Okay, so take us through it. Earlier we saw making the shanks in those old World War II machines, right?
Right. So that's the first part that gets loaded.
Yeah.
And then we put a little friction device, a little white ring at the back.
Okay.
And then we move over to this next installation station. And that
installation
loads,
station. Very cool.
And that
got all the buzzwords,
that
Paul.
loads the core of the handle.
Okay.
And then Kulvinder here is putting another one of those rings on there.
But what do those rings actually do?
Well, they
Sounds like a dumb question.
They make it so that the bits will stay in the handle. And,
okay.
Also, when you change the bit, it'll keep the bit from flying off into space.
Okay, and that's key to
very,
the Picquic technology.
A lot of the knockoffs tend to not focus on that as a quality issue, and it backfires on them.
So it's funny how those two little rings are such an essential part of the screwdriver.
Yeah, well, we even our affectionate name for them is P-back ring.
Okay.
And we make them color-coded because there's different strengths that give us the best friction.
Yeah, of course. Oh, okay.
So then the handle gets loaded on this station.
Yeah.
And then we put 2 bits in this station, 2 bits here, 2 bits here.
Wow.
And then the final bit is loaded on that last station.
Yeah.
And that's the 7th bit.
And you leave the 1 bit sticking out a little bit there, you can see.
Yeah, that's so when we package it, people kind of look at it and go, well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And investigate further and hopefully understand how the system works, right?
Push it in, all right.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Very well explained. Thanks a lot, Paul. We got one more segment coming up in a little bit, and we're going to learn all about the packaging that goes into Picquic tools and why these screwdrivers are so unique, you guys. It's very fascinating. We're here at Manitoba off Marine Drive at Picquic Tool Company. That's right, Jody. Thanks a lot. We got one more segment here at Picquic Tools, and we're learning all about their wonderful screwdriver, the patented technology. They're packaging it up now. We'll learn a little more about this fascinating local company coming up. We're here at Picquic Tools. Paul, this is fascinating because this is essentially the model from the 80s that your dad came up with. And now, you look at present day and you've come up with so many different varieties. Is it a challenge to come up with all these different ways of marketing, essentially, the same design of a screwdriver?
Yeah, fair question. What we've tried to do is sort of figure out what makes sense for all kinds of different users.
Right.
So we have like the full-size models like the Super 8 Plus, the 6-pack Plus. We have the Mariner. We've got a variety of assortment packs.
Boats,
yeah,
right?
This is good for boats. It won't, you can put that in the bilge and it won't rust.
The little Christmas edition there.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a weird little offshoot.
Sort of, right? Yeah.
But, we've got the Maltique, which we kind of softly market towards women.
Yeah.
Most recent product has been our Teeny Turner, which is a wild success. That's good for fixing eyeglasses and computers and, your smartphone battery and so on.
Yeah, well, the devices are so small now, they have tiny screws, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, talk to me about the pride of continuing your dad's legacy and having this great local business right now and just sort of making everything here,
Well, we are. That's actually a huge source of pride for everybody here. And we're not going to change that ever because I think it's one of the flaws in modern society or manufacturing is that we've put it all elsewhere,
right.
And we're kind of forgetting how to build stuff. And not only that, but we've got everybody that works in this company, they've got a car, they own a home, even in Vancouver of all places. So it's kind of like a General Motors model of yesteryear where you worked in a factory, but you made good money and you could put your kids through school and so on. And I think that's really important to our company to keep it here and adopt whatever processes we can right here in our plant.
Well said, Paul. Thank you so much for learning all about what you guys do here.
Thank you, Thor.
All right, Picquic Tools. Yeah, you too. There you go, guys. Check them out on the website, and they've got some amazing stuff here, and it's a great little local entrepreneurial story.